Hello everyone. In this video we're going to be talking about Aerodrome control service. First of all, as we have already pointed out, this control service is executed or provided from the control tower. And there may be, there are several traffic controllers, each of them in charge of a given piece of airspace, as we have already said. And we have typically three specific positions, right? The clearance controller, the ground movement controller, and the local controller, right? And these guys work typically with the visual contact, so they can see taxiways, they can see the runway, initial takeoff, final approach. They work, of course, with radio communications, and they work with ground movement radar. Now, the clearance position controller, this is a controller in charge of briefing the officer, the pilot, with the after departure route clearances, right? So after taking off, you should proceed with SID, what is the initial altitude, the QNH, transponder code, and so on and so forth. Right? Also is in charge of checking the departure time window compliance. Right? And you should know that aircraft are not in movement, because this control is also to provide with a startup clearance, right? So we are. This is the control that was briefing the officer in our first case study on this level bust incident, if you remember correctly. Okay. Then the ground movement controller is in charge of basically keeping aircraft separated on the ground, right? So there is a taxiing in busy airports is a bit involved, and we need to establish a sequence and instruct aircraft to proceed through one taxiway, turn here or there, and establish a sequence in such a way that the throughput, the capacity of the airport is maximized. That's very important in peak hours. Here we have Maris Barajas control tower where they are working. This would be a typical control position. I don't know if we can zoom in a bit. I guess no, but well, they have information about the meteorology on one hand, then the ground movement radar would be something like this, in which they can monitor parking positions and the evolution of the aircraft incoming, outgoing with different colors, for instance, where they park, whether they are going on a given runway, taxiway. They have the so-called aircraft control strips, and with those strips, they know what is the departure runway, what is the estimated overload time, and eventually a calculated takeoff time, so they can kind of handle the situation with that information. Our third aerodrome controller or position is the local controller, right? This is the one in charge of the runway and the aerodrome traffic zone, so final approach and the initial count. Here again is visual observation, sometimes supported by radar. And here the most important thing, and this is the most critical control at the airport, is that only one aircraft is cleared to use the runway at a time. Right. So it should be he or she should establish a sequence. And here we have two main things to consider. Well, one is if we are using segregated, the runway is segregated, it's only used for takeoffs and landings, but just for one of those, we just need to separate two consecutive takeoffs, two consecutive landings. The landings basically is given, it's transferred to you. The final approximation in the controller should have properly separated aircraft, and they are just given. You need to make sure the leading aircraft is vacating the runway, because if not, you might need to trigger a go around procedure for the trailing one. Now, if If we are using mixed mode runway operations, in which a runway is used for both departures and arrivals, you need to be able to establish the sequence and authorize a departure in between two arrivals. Notice that two arrivals are separated 3 nautical miles. 3 nautical miles are a velocity, say, of 180 knots, roughly. This means an aircraft is flying 3 nautical miles per minute, which means we might have a minute. If velocity is a bit less, which should be the case, 120, 140, maybe we have 1 minute and a half, because the aircraft with 120 knots is flying 2 nautical miles per minute. So 3 nautical miles would be 1 minute and a half. So they need to play around. Most of the times, aircraft are not separated 3 nautical miles, but more. Also, in busy airports, typically we have segregated operations because we have multiple runways. But just to consider that. Also, when separating departures, we do it with time. And notice that now is this local controller, the one that is to transfer aircraft to other controllers, to approximation controllers. And approximation controllers must have the required separation, right? Here is the figure I was not showing, sorry, about mixed mode operations. And I was talking now about the separation departures. If notice that in the first 10,000 feet, you are not allowed to go to fly faster than 250. So for a 240 knots, you'll be flying 4 nautical miles per minute, right? So if you separate 1 minute to aircraft departure, you would have a separation between 2 and 4 nautical miles, right? Because of course they can reach 250 instantaneously. Notice also that we are talking about gas speeds here, and of course we might play a role. We are just making a bit of rule of thumb, but these things need to be considered, right? If we are at a higher altitude, therefore to get to higher altitude, then gas and TAS speeds might be a bit different. If we are close to sea level, they are very close to each other. If wind is blowing, then of course the distance and times should be considered with ground speeds. So this is also playing a role. Thanks very much for your time.